Welcome to the inaugural episode of the VFP Virtual Football Podcast. Today we've got a chock-filled episode. Not too much today, but enough for a pretty good starter. So we're gonna kick it off with some power rankings. And then we're going to head to my current playoff picture. So let's get right into it. So we're going to start with the Week 2 power rankings. Starting at 14, we got St. John's Bosco. Now, this team has not looked very good, to say the least. They've just been bad all around. They don't have anybody. What else can you really say? They're more than likely going to go 0-8. They got Catholic Memorial this week. That's going to be a loss. Looking into their future, Lakeland Week 4. That's going to be a loss. Then they have Hurricanes, Sierra Canyon. That I think that might be their only game that they have a chance to win. But so they're not in a great spot. Moving on to 13, we have the Cedar Grove Saints in a similar situation as St. John's Bosco, except they have one bright spot in good to bad. But still not in a good spot at all. They almost beat a blueberry-less Maury. In the end, though, they did lose. Good to bad had a couple of nice catches, but other than him, they don't really have anyone. So really not much more to say on that. When we move to 12, you got Sierra Canyon. They were looking like a decent squad coming into the season. As you can see, after Week 1 power rankings, even with the loss, they're still ranked 4th with AJ Clips at the QB. But they've dropped significantly after Week 2 because AJ Clips left, headed into King Crusaders. So they don't really have anyone either. We look at the squad. They don't. Looking at it, there's nobody that stands out. There's CW, but that's the only guy that I see that I recognize, at all. So, Sierra Canyon, not a good team. Now, moving on to number 11, we have IMG Academy. IMG, they have Floyd at the QB. They won Week 1, but they just, in Week 2, what did they do? Took an L, 54-20 to the Hurricanes. So expected. I could see them as a sneaky 4 seed in the much weaker Southern Conference. But we'll have to see if the combination of Floyd C. Yaxel and Ubry is good enough to get some wins. Moving into 10, there's a team that should be a lot lower. It's the Cerro. They lost the Menace, they lost Lay. They're losing everyone. They're losing people left and right. Physics is the only good player on this team. They're in the bottom tier, right down there with. I think they should switch them in IMG, and that 10 through 14 is just the bottom tier of teams. But let's move into number 9. We have the Lakeland Dreadnoughts, who got a rough loss Week 1 to IMG, but they made a couple of key signings and got a huge upset over the North Stars when they still had the Menace on a game-winning field goal to win uh, 52-49. So they're still sitting at the 10, and after a loss to St. Catherine's, don't see them going up at all. But we'll keep going. Next up at 8 is the King Crusaders. They're looking pretty decent. I think they could be a little higher with time playing QB, and I'm not really sure who else with Borderline and AJ Clips alongside him. He's got a very solid squad here, but we'll have to see how they do over the rest of the season. If you look into their schedule, week 3, they've got Katy. If they can win that, that'll be a big win for them and their playoff hopes. Week 4, they've got a pivotal game against Catholic Memorial. Week 5, they got Lakeland. Week 6, they're going to lose to the Hurricanes. Week 7, Sierra, which should be a pretty easy win. And Week 8, Servite. So, I mean, this team could be a contender. I could see them going 5-3, but they could also go as bad as 3-5. But we keep on moving to Katy Tigers, who just recently signed the Menace. The Menace left the North Stars after a heartbreaking loss. And he's now on Katy. And his first matchup will be against the King Crusaders. And he's going to try and prove that he is a playoff QB against a team that is definitely a playoff contender. So then we move into the number 6 spot, where we have Catholic Memorial, led by Judite. This team could definitely have been 2-0, but rough comeback loss to to St. Catherine's ended that. So, I mean, they sit at 1-1. I think they're, in my opinion, they're the best 1-1 team. There's one more 1-1 team above them, but just my thoughts. If we look ahead in their schedule, you've got Week 3, St. John's. That should be a win. Week 4 is a pivotal game against King. Already spoke about that. Week 5, we have Broughton, which will be another very important game. Week 6, Maury, which is going to be a tough game. And then they close out the season with IMG and the North Stars. So, a somewhat favorable schedule. They've got a lot of chances to prove themselves. But that moves us right into our number 5, which is Broughton, who are still ranked higher than the King Crusaders even after losing to them. I mean, Ari is a very good QB. He's played very well. The QB, and there's not much more to say. But they've also got guys like Lay and Zanny. But he will, I believe, have a test in Week 4, and when he will play Katy. That'll be the Menace. So not too much more to say on that team, but that moves us into the top 4, and now we're in all the 2-0 teams. Starting off with the team that is by far the weakest of the 2-0s. It's St. Catherine's. Honestly, I don't even think they should be in the top 5 at this point. They've played 3 bad teams, if we're being honest, except for St. Catholic Memorial, and that definitely should have been a loss for them. So, Bums still has a lot to prove in my eyes, and as of right now, I think this team is barely a playoff contender. I mean, they'll probably be at number 3 or number 4 again next week. Deserving of it, sure, at this point, but I don't think they'll keep it. Moving into the number 3, we have a team that is a lot lower. It's the Murray Commodores, who dropped down from 1 to 3 after barely getting a win over Cedar Grove Saints. They're now the number 3 team, and they've looked like a top team. Every team where they've had all their starters, they've blown them out. And they're my pick to make the state championship coming out of the Southern Conference. Blueberry JP Brando can't really get much better than that. But that moves us right into the number 2 team, which is Servite, led by Razorblade. He's been a great QB as of late, and he tries to continue that after a tough loss to West Harrison in Week 3. He's going to be sitting at 2-1, probably will get dropped in the power rankings, but Vil and Money are both very capable receivers. I would not be surprised to see this team make a state championship run. So that brings us to our number 1 team. It's the West Harrison Hurricanes. I think they're well deserving of the spot. They're actually 3-0 now after beating Servite. They're led by Cozy, and he has 2 top 10 receivers in Lieno and Phobic. So it's really no surprise that they're up here. But they'll probably stay up here, and they're currently my pick to make it out of the Northern Conference. So we'll see what happens with them. But yeah, that's gonna be a wrap on the first episode. Thanks for listening, guys. See y'all later.